Welcome back, everyone, to another Deep Dive with a Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at some really interesting data from LinkedIn, actually, about the fastest growing jobs in France,
Yeah.
looking ahead to 2025.
Looking ahead.
Yeah, so kind of a snapshot of where the job market in France is headed
Yeah.
and what skills people should be learning or, thinking about if they're just now entering the workforce or thinking about changing careers.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fascinating, actually, because we hear all this stuff in the news about layoffs and big tech companies laying people off and stuff.
Right.
And you kind of get this doom and gloom feeling like, oh no, is the economy
Yeah,
really bad? It's
right.
going to crash.
Right.
But this LinkedIn study actually paints a totally different picture. It shows that certain sectors are actually booming.
Yeah.
Like manufacturing is having a huge resurgence.
Yeah.
Tourism is really bouncing back after COVID.
Yeah.
And obviously things like AI and cybersecurity and even environmental fields are continuing to grow really rapidly.
Yeah. This LinkedIn study really challenges some common assumptions. It kind of reveals
Yeah.
this really dynamic job market with a really surprising variety of opportunities
Yeah.
across different sectors.
Yeah, and I think that's what really caught my eye when I was reading this study,
Mm-hmm.
is that it wasn't just like, oh, these are the 25 fastest growing jobs and they're all, tech jobs or they're all, healthcare jobs.
Right.
It was a really interesting mix.
Yeah.
Like, quality inspectors was near the top of the list.
Okay.
We've got AI engineers, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but then even good old-fashioned travel advisors are in high demand.
Yeah, and it's not just one specific skill set that's in demand, it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So you've got manufacturing and the resurgence of tourism, those really stand out.
Yeah.
And plus the continued growth in AI, cybersecurity, and environmental fields are just really clear indicators of where the future is headed.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about what skills you should be learning
Right.
or what, career path you might want to pursue,
Mm-hmm.
this study is definitely worth checking out. We'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's not just one specific skill set.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mix of kind of technical expertise and also, those essential soft skills that people always talk about.
Yeah.
So, things like quality control and project management and AI and machine learning and cybersecurity. Those are all obviously really important.
Yeah.
But then also things like strong communication skills, problem-solving abilities, all those human skills are still super valuable
Yeah.
in this job market.
Yeah. It's really fascinating to see how these skills are all kind of interwoven and how the demand for both the technical and the human skills are growing.
Yeah, and that's something that we talk about a lot on this show is that, in the past, there used to be this idea that, you either had to be like a tech person or you had to be like a people person.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's really becoming clear that you need a combination of both
Yeah.
to really succeed.
You have to be able to speak both languages in a way.
Exactly.
Be able to understand the tech and the human side of things.
So one thing that jumped out at me when I was looking at the specific jobs on this list
Huh?
was the gender distribution in some of the roles.
Okay.
So, for example, 91% of aircraft mechanics are men,
Okay.
while 75% of flight attendants are women.
Okay.
So that's a pretty stark contrast.
Yeah, those disparities raise some interesting questions about representation and equality in the workplace.
Right.
Like, why are certain roles still so heavily skewed towards one gender?
Right.
What can we do to break down those barriers and create a more balanced workforce?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. And it's not just about, fairness and equality.
Right.
It's also about, tapping into the full potential of the workforce.
Right.
If you're only considering, half of the population for certain jobs, then you're missing out on a lot of talent.
Exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of kind of the changing nature of work, one thing that this study highlighted was the remote work factor.
Okay.
So they found that there's a wide range in the percentage of jobs offering remote work possibilities.
Yeah.
Obviously, for something like a flight attendant,
Right.
0% chance you're going to be working remotely for that.
Yeah, you have to be there.
You have to be on the plane.
Yeah.
But for other roles like product manager,
Okay.
a whopping 75% of those jobs offer remote work possibilities.
Wow.
So that's a huge shift in how we think about work.
It reflects the growing demand for flexibility and work-life balance that's going on in today's world.
Yeah.
And as technology continues to evolve, I think we can expect remote and hybrid work models to become even more prevalent in the future.
So we've got this really exciting landscape of job growth, a diverse range of skills in demand, the rise of remote work. But here's the big question looming over all of this. How will artificial intelligence impact these jobs?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And that's where the insights from Philip Waterloos and his podcast, Le Podcast to Phil, come in.
Yeah.
He's done some really deep thinking about AI's potential influence on different professions.
And he actually has a list of 14 jobs that he believes will be heavily impacted by AI.
Really?
And it's a pretty diverse list. So we're talking accountants, bankers, software testers, business process owners, energy managers, travel advisors, even AI engineers themselves.
Wow. So the very people creating the technology might be impacted by it.
That's right. It's fascinating stuff.
What does he think about the jobs that won't be so heavily impacted?
Well, he seems to think that jobs requiring that direct physical client interaction might be a little safer for now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like your friendly neighborhood barista,
Yeah.
at least for the time being.
So he thinks AI's biggest impact will be in roles involving data analysis, process automation, and complex problem solving.
Makes sense.
Exactly. So while AI might not be replacing baristas just yet, it could significantly change the game for folks in those data-driven and analytical roles.
Definitely something to keep in mind. It's really all about adapting and evolving alongside the technology.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the Industrial Revolution. You know, it brought about massive changes to the way we worked, but it also created a ton of new opportunities, and it ultimately led to a higher standard of living for many people. And I think we're in a similar kind of period of transformation now with AI.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. History shows us that these kinds of big technological advancements often lead to new industries and new jobs being created.
Exactly.
So instead of fearing AI, maybe we should be focusing on how to leverage it to our advantage.
Totally. It's all about upskilling, reskilling,
Right.
and just being open to new possibilities. So let's go back to some of those predictions from Philip Waterloos. Um, he mentioned accountants being one of the jobs that could be potentially impacted by AI. And I can definitely see how AI could take over some of those more like, repetitive tasks that accountants have to do, like the data entry, the basic calculations.
Right.
But then wouldn't that free up accountants to focus on more of the, strategic high-level thinking?
Absolutely. Imagine an accountant using some kind of AI-powered software to, analyze massive data sets and identify trends and generate reports in a fraction of the time it would normally take them.
Yeah.
Then it would free up so much time for them to, provide strategic financial advice to their clients, interpret complex financial data, and just really add value beyond just, number crunching.
Yeah, it's like AI could become their super-powered assistant,
Totally, yeah.
handling all the grunt work so that they can focus on the big picture.
Exactly, and I think this same logic applies to a lot of the other roles on Waterloos's list, like software testers, for example. They could use AI to automate, a lot of those repetitive testing processes, which would allow them to focus on more complex and creative testing scenarios. Business process owners, they could leverage AI to, optimize their workflows, identify bottlenecks, streamline their operations. I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about how much AI could change the way we work,
Mm.
But I do think it's important to acknowledge that there are some people who are understandably, concerned about job displacement.
For sure. I mean, that's a completely valid concern. I think it's crucial to acknowledge those anxieties and to approach this whole transition in a thoughtful and, empathetic way.
What advice would you give to someone who's, listening to this right now and maybe feeling a little bit anxious about, AI and how it might impact their job? Like, what are some concrete steps that people can take to prepare for these potential changes?
I think the key is to just be proactive. Identify what are the skills that are in demand in your field and invest in developing those skills.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to, explore a new career path or consider upskilling within your current role.
So it's all about adaptability and continuous learning.
Exactly.
What are some specific skills that you think are going to be essential in this, AI-driven world?
Well, I think critical thinking is going to be more important than ever.
Yeah.
Being able to analyze information, evaluate different options, make sound judgments, in a world that's just going to be flooded with more and more data.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really valuable skill. Creativity and problem solving are also going to be super crucial as we face, increasingly complex challenges and need to come up with innovative solutions.
And then I imagine, all those human skills like communication and collaboration and emotional intelligence,
Yes, exactly.
those are only going to become more important as AI takes on more of the technical tasks.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the skills that really differentiate us from machines. You know, the ability to connect with other people, build relationships, understand and respond to human emotions. Those are the qualities that are going to set us apart in the workplace of the future.
So I think we've explored a lot of really interesting ground here today.
Hmm.
We've talked about the potential impacts of AI on different jobs. Some roles might see, pretty significant shifts, while others might be enhanced by, these new AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mixed bag for sure, but definitely something that we all need to be aware of and, be prepared for.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is to view it as like an evolution,
Yeah.
not just like a disruption, you know?
Yeah.
We've been through similar shifts throughout history, and we've always managed to adapt and find new ways to thrive. AI is really just the next chapter in that story.
Okay, so let's bring it back to our listeners for a minute.
Hmm.
If you're listening to this right now and thinking, wow, AI might really change my job, what advice would you give to someone who's, in that position?
Okay.
Like, what can they do to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, first of all, I would say don't panic.
Yeah.
You know, change can be unsettling, but it also brings, new opportunities. Just stay informed about the latest developments in AI and how they might impact your field.
So read articles,
Yeah.
listen to podcasts like this one.
Exactly. Do your research.
Yeah.
And identify what are the skills that are becoming, increasingly valuable in your industry, and then invest in your own professional development, whether that's through, online courses or workshops or, pursuing additional certifications.
Yeah. And I would also add to that, be open to new possibilities.
Yes.
Your dream job 5 years from now might not even exist yet.
Right.
So, stay curious, explore different avenues.
It's all about having that growth mindset, you
Yeah.
know? Embrace the challenge and view AI as a tool that can help you evolve and, excel in your career.
Great advice.
Mm.
I think this deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about. We've explored this fascinating LinkedIn study highlighting, the fastest growing jobs in France. We've talked about the potential impact of AI on these roles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from the rise of remote work to the, evolving skill sets that are needed to thrive in this AI-driven world,
Yeah.
it's clear that the future of work is, dynamic and full of, a lot of really exciting possibilities.
It's a future that we're all creating together. And by staying informed and, adaptable and open to new opportunities, we can navigate this transition with confidence and hopefully create a future of work that benefits everyone.
Well said. I love that. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks for joining us today on the Deep Dive. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful episodes like this one. Until next time, keep